Hey, how's it going? Just here to do a video today of I guess an analysis or commentary, reaction video, if you will. Just basically going through Intra Venus, Ne Obliviscaris track, live track we did last year on a US tour. It's from a show in Vancouver. Just going to be talking about maybe some technique analysis or thought processes during the song, or even songwriting stuff. So yeah, let's get into it, check it out. For this first part, I don't know, I just thought a little hi-hat rhythm would be cool to... It kind of doesn't follow any of the other instruments, but it's just kind of cool rhythm with the open hi-hats, kind of abrasive. The open hi-hat at the end kind of just swirls down. It's kind of cool. So at the end of this little intro part here, the click actually periodically slows down, which you'll hear right there. So I guess a little songwriting thing I guess I like to do, which you might pick up in other tracks as well, especially when a riff repeats like this. A lot of this stuff happens in there where riffs repeat, and so for the first repetition or cycle of this riff, it's very similar to the second, but I add in ghost notes on the second one. But I just like to try and change something, even if it's small, like ghost notes or whatever it may be, cymbal hits or maybe some accents, but in this case it's ghost notes. So first repetition, as you just saw, there was no ghost notes, and second rep, just decided to throw them in. So the kick drums there, the technique there, kind of really don't, I really hate doing this kind of tempo. It's kind of tricky. It took me a long time to get this kind of stuff down. It's mostly a whole leg motion there, and not much ankle at all really at those tempos, just whole leg, just kind of stomping. Yeah, it kind of gets the job done, but I get fatigued a little bit quick, and it's something I really have to work on. It's a weak point of mine, and one of the reasons why I wanted to do these videos is because I can, I guess, be accountable on a public error to, you know, work on this kind of stuff. So yeah, definitely something I need to work on there. There's another track we played too called Earn, where my triplet double bass is weak, and I really need to work on that. So hopefully when I do some of this stuff in the future, I'll have some better execution of those techniques. So we're about to switch it into a different riff, different part of the song, and the amount of notes goes up greatly here. So I'm about to do a fill into the next part, which is a pretty fast double bass kind of part. And basically my thought process here is I need to be super relaxed on this fill. And it's a bit of a tricky fill because I'm reaching for cymbals as I'm going around the kit, you'll see. And my first 6 notes of double bass have to be really on point, because I really like to hit super hard in this part because there's a lot going on. And I just want everything to be super in time and tight, so I don't have to think about anything, and I can really focus on the tone of my snare. So that's really something I'm focusing on. everything else I've done enough, you know, technique work to kind of make it all happen, but I just need those first 6 notes to be on point so I don't have to think about them. And if it's all on time, I can kind of just get on with it, and it's all good. So yeah, look for that fill, and I can't remember, hopefully I'll land all those notes nice and tight this next part. Not bad. Cool, so you saw there, it's pretty fast double bass. I can't remember the tempo. It's probably an equivalent to about 220-ish. It's pretty much all ankle for me here. There's a slight movement kind of like this, side to side, but it's pretty much all ankle, so that's a lot of calf muscle and small twitch muscle fibers and stuff like that. You'll see here that it is just absolutely crucial throughout this whole song that my right foot especially is just on point the whole time, because it swaps from, I do pretty much all 1 foot blasting in this song, so, and a lot of the time it comes out of double bass into a blast with no rest at all between the two, so my right foot has to be on point, otherwise the blast beat is going to sound like shite. So it's pretty critical. It took a while to get this song down to be able to do this stuff, bit of work, but yeah, that's just something you'll notice here. Another point I'll add out is I don't rim shot much at all, especially on backbeats, and this is a prime example. I do high backbeats, and when I go into the blast beat, the volume difference is not huge. I try to control all the volume on my end, so our front of house guy doesn't have to touch the fade as much for drums, because there's 7 instruments in this band. So 2 vocals, violin, guitars, bass, drums. It's mental. So I basically try and do all the volume control on my end, so my front of house guy doesn't really have to chase my faders, you know, if the blast beat's getting soft or if I'm getting too overworked. So if I go hard into a song from the start, I kind of have to be consistent with that, because I've got to be mindful of my front of house guy, because my job's just to keep everything together, especially in this band, just keep it all together nice and clean, and no one has to worry about what I'm doing or think about me, so they can all perform and do all their stuff. So yeah. So you'll see a lot of 5-stroke rolls in this song too, in between the blast beats or going into a blast beat, or I do a switch blast too, which has a 5-stroke roll and then just a few notes following out. So 5-stroke roll, if you don't know, right, right, left, left, right, it's 5 notes. So that's what happens there. Alright, so as you saw there, great example of why my right foot needs to be really on point. Coming in and out of blasts, and yeah, if it's not on point, it's really, really shit. I get pretty mad about it, and you can probably tell if I do mess something like that up, because I end up hitting super hard, because I get upset about it, and then I guess that's just how I channel it out. I just try and hit super hard and just let it out that way. It's not a big deal. I used to let stuff like that get to me, you know, 2-3 years ago, just being, you know, probably too much of a perfectionist, but now I'm just more about the performance aspect, and you know, no one's perfect, and so I guess that's why I'm happy to talk about my weaknesses and stuff too these days. I just don't care. I know it's stuff I've got to work on, not trying to hide it from anyone, so it is what it is. This next part I'll explain as well. You'll see I'm about to enter into another blast beat section, and I'm actually 2-footing the blast beat. So instead of doing 1 foot blasts, of doing 16th or 8th, however you want to count it, on the right foot, I'll be doing quarters or 8th notes, right foot interchange between on the beat with the left hand off the beat. You'll see what I mean in a minute, but the reason for that is to actually manage my fatigue, to set myself up for further down the song. There's a very crucial part which I'll stop again and explain, but I'm just basically trying to take a rest. So that's the reasoning for that, and you'll see why. And I actually switched to 1 foot blast, which I'll stop and explain again, but let's just watch this 2 foot for a sec. So there's the 2 foot. Okay, so right here I changed back to 1 foot, so you might be able to see it with my legs. I don't know why I didn't edit the camera angle in there, but that'll be in other videos too if you really want to find it. So I do 2 foot there for a few measures just to get my fatigue levels back down, and then I switch to 1 foot because exiting out of this blast section I actually do a 16th note double bass roll, so it's you'll hear that right after I hit play again, and that's just because I prefer to do those sections or parts like that that go from 8th to 16th note double bass. I can just find I can get it a lot tighter and cleaner by doing 1 foot and entering in with another foot, so you know, like stuff like that. Yeah, it's just more comfortable and tighter and feels better for me. So yeah, that roll coming out of the blast beat wasn't the best. Yeah, all the notes were there, but that's another thing I struggle with is my fatigue during that section there too. It's also the placement of this song in the set as well. The guys wanted to originally wanted to open a lot of our shows with this song, and I kind of just vetoed it and said, nah, that's not because it's just, I don't really get a proper opportunity to warm up. You know, I don't have, I can't exactly carry a kick pad and practice pad and a pair of pedals with me everywhere, and I don't have a drum tech. I always do all my own stuff, and all the guys help out with all drums too. So there's not really an ideal situation to warm up properly. So that's why I do a lot of work at home before tour to kind of get ready to be able to execute stuff like this on very minimal preparation. So yeah, that's always a challenge, and fatigue something I'm always working on because this band's just so heavy endurance. It's just insane how much endurance it is, and I've got to maintain all that and of course execute and, you know, hitting hard and all that sort of stuff. So it's quite a big challenge, which I very much enjoy. Yeah, some of the thought processes for that part. Definitely got to work on those rolls when I'm fatigued. Got to figure something out. So maybe a different technique. I don't know. Okay, one thing I noticed there is on my snare, and it's one thing I've been working on a little bit. I'm not sure if it's going to help or hinder me, but you'll see that my left hand, as you can see during the blast part there, is at like a, I guess 8 o'clock position. And when my right hand comes in, it's not the same. It's more of a 6 o'clock position. So, which would mean that I'm using different techniques I guess, for each hand, which is true, and it's something I'm working on. I've actually got a shitty lingering injury on my right hand, which has prevented some progress for me, which is extremely frustrating, but just always trying to find ways around it and ways to work around that injury, basically. So that's one thing I do notice, is my hands aren't nicely mirrored, and I'm a little bit OCD, so that kind of it kind of itches my brain a bit. Alright, so before, when I was talking about two-footing the blast beats to manage fatigue, this is one of the reasons why to save for this section here. This section's extremely critical because there's an interplay of solos between the violin and guitar, and I've just got to provide the background basically for those guys to go over. So I don't want them to have to think about anything I'm doing. I don't want them to think about anything I'm playing. I don't want to, be crazy out of time or anything to put them off, because, all the focus is on them. So I'm just trying to highlight them as much as possible by, being the timekeeper as accurately as I can, which is my job. So yeah, let's let that run. So two things there. The first one is, it was about on this tour actually, I started rim shotting the backbeat after those ghost notes, because I couldn't get the height that I wanted. And you'll probably hear me do it. You'll hear the tone of the snare change a little bit. This is kind of when my brain was going, oh, it might sound good there. But now I rim shot there every time. One of the few times I do rim shot actually, because it's tricky to do those ghost notes off the beat and then come straight onto the beat, short note distance, etc. So yeah, I do rim shot there now. Second thing is another songwriting thing I tend to do, and this is the second half of all the soloing, and I change the drums a little bit but keep the main rhythm consistent. So there's still the offbeat hi-hat prevalent with the kick pattern, and I'm just going around the toms. So yeah, similar to the first cycle of it, but yeah, just going around the toms, and kick pattern's the same. Offbeat hi-hat's still there. That part's quite tricky because of the fatigue, and keeping those kicks nice and locked in is something that I have struggled with, and I've been working on a lot. So I've been working on that by trying to position my feet on different positions of the footboard. So I'm finding myself coming a little bit lower on the footboard instead of being up near towards the beater. I'm coming a little bit back and just trying to relax and breathe as much as possible. So obviously if you're tense or you're thinking about something else, it's very easy to not have that nice and tight. So yeah, that's my thought process there. It's a bit of a tricky section, the offbeat hi-hat, ghost notes and stuff. So yeah, it took a little bit of work to get down. So that section there, cool little groove, just trying to complement the bass really. And then I start riding on the crash over there, and much to Troy Wright's dismay, because he says I have two rides and what am I doing riding on a crash? Fuck you, Troy. It's just a little bit more chill. The rides are like, my right hand ride's actually more of a, it's not really a metal ride at all. I can crash it. The outside of the rides, yeah, you can crash it. It's a K Custom 21-inch hybrid ride. So the inside's got some nice stick definition. The outside's a little bit more washy. I really like the bell, and I can crash it. Whereas my left ride's a K Custom 20-inch medium ride. That's much more, cuts much more, a little bit more heavier. The bell's a little bit louder, more of a metal ride, you know. So riding on the, I think I had an 18-inch A Custom on this tour. It's just much more chill, which you can hear. So that's why I do that Troy Wright Youth. Cool, so that part there, minus the opening two kick and hi-hat notes, is a linear rhythm. I don't think it's anything too crazy. It just, I don't know what provoked me to do that, but it's just kind of a an interesting pattern that kind of, I think fits well with the bass guitar and the acoustic guitars and stuff that's going on. And coming up as a snare fill with a kick or two thrown in, I think, and just to bring the energy up for the next riff, which is kind of pretty headbangy, I guess. So check it out. Couple of rim shots there. Oh, stick tricks, what a beast. Oh, someone screwed up with the tail there, but anyway. Cool, so that part there is another example of why I like to do eighth notes pretty much always on my right kick, if there's going to be a 16th note rhythm shortly after. So you can tell during that blast beat there, it goes from 8th to 16th rhythm underneath. I kind of do that a lot. I stole that sort of stuff from Dave Haley from Psychroptic. Shout out to Dave, very good friend of mine and insanely amazing drummer. So that's kind of why I do that kind of stuff. I like to throw in rhythms underneath, keep it interesting, keep the listener, you know, on second, third listen, maybe picking new things up. So, yeah. So right after this part, I'll get like, I don't know, a bar or two of break. It's kind of my chance to catch my breath a bit and reset. So yeah, that's pretty much about the only kind of break here. The next part's pretty intense, so again it just comes down to fatigue, trying to manage fatigue and execute but hit hard, and you'll probably see me take a deep breath after the fill. Got lazy with that fill. That should be 8, 10, 12, not 8, 10, and the right hand on 12, the left hand on 10. Should be like flowing all the way around the kit. Got lazy. Shouldn't do that. Cool, so I like that part there. Again, that's just some songwriting stuff I like to do, mixing things up with repeating riffs and stuff like that. So my thought process there is I set up my drums in a try to do a stereo image, so when you check out the overhead shots, you'll see everything's kind of proportionate left and right, you know, ride cymbals, either side, crashes, chinas, hats, 2 floor toms, snare in between the middle of the rack toms. And so my thought process there was, when we went into record, is I just want a few sounds from the left channel and right channel, and that's pretty much what I was thinking, just to keep it interesting. It's kind of a cool rhythm, I think, with a few cymbal hits on the exit. Cool. Well, yeah, that's it. Now, catch my breath and do it all over again with another 10-minute song or something. So, yeah, thanks for checking it out if you lasted this long. This has gone a bit longer than what I would have anticipated, but yeah, if you guys dig this stuff, let me know. If it's shite, let me know. No worries. Again, I do a lot of stuff on videos and that on social media, just to be honest, to hold myself accountable, and this is a great opportunity for me to really openly pick at my weaknesses and things I need to work on. So I'm going to go play drums, work on some stuff I suck at. So thanks for checking it out. Catch you later.